Oh, yeah. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today is a joyful day because you are here. And you Zoomers are here. We are here. Wherever we are, we're here, but you know. Adding your voice to the song, opening your hearts to love, gathering once again in the search for peace and love. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Eugene. My name is Augie Sabini. I use pronouns he and him. Actually, I use me and I. Other people use him and, okay, sorry. We light a flaming chalice today, and Emmy's going to help me with it, I think. She seems busy back there. Not lacking in enthusiasm, is she? The back one. Thank you very much. We say that the flaming chalice symbolizes the fire of commitment, the light of truth, the warmth of community. But especially in these times, it's important to remember that this chalice was designed by an Austrian Jewish refugee as a symbol of our concern for and to aid the downtrodden. Hear the words of Dr. Reverend King. Reverend Dr. I'm sorry, because these are serious. There are some things in our social system to which all of us must be maladjusted. Hatred and bitterness can never cure the disease of fear. Only love can do that. We must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retribution. The foundation of such a method is love. Before it is too late, we must narrow the growing chasm between our proclamations of peace and our lowly deeds which precipitate and perpetuate war. One day we must come to see that the peace is not merely a distant goal that we're seeking, but the means by which we reach that goal. We must pursue peaceful ends through peaceful means. We shall hew out of the mountain a stone of hope.
Hello, everybody. This is Rev Jen Youngsun Ryu. I use pronouns she and her, and today I'm wearing kind of mulberry colors. I don't know if some of you have heard that Claudette Colvin died this week. Before Rosa Parks, there was Claudette Colvin. She lived to a grand old age of 89. But when she was 15 years old, Ms. Colvin and her friend boarded a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. And as soon as they sat down next to a couple of white girls, the bus driver called the police. And when the police arrived, Claudette's friend complied and moved to the back of the bus. But Claudette Colvin did not move. She was arrested, and her testimony became part of the landmark case that ended bus segregation in Montgomery. Recalling this day, she would later write, "As a teenager, I kept thinking, why don't the adults around here say something? Why don't they say it so they know that we don't accept segregation? I knew then and I know now that when it comes to justice, there's no easy way to get it. You can't sugarcoat it. You have to take a stand and say, this is not right." And that's what I did that day. How in the world does a 15-year-old child summon the courage to take a stand like she did? Well, she said she had Harriet Tubman on one shoulder and Sojourner Truth on the other. None of us can fight injustice alone. We draw on the inspiration of the ancestors. We lean on those who come alongside us, and we live with purpose and integrity for the generations to come. Today, as we do each year at this time, we honor the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose life of faith still calls us to break the cycle of violence in America and around the world. For human beings, he said, are meant for life and not death. We are meant for freedom and not slavery. We are created for each other, not against each other. Come, lift every voice for justice, for dignity, for love. Come, let us worship together. This is a photo of the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. Anybody been there in person? I know it's really far away from Oregon. This massive granite sculpture of King stands with arms folded. He faces the tidal basin. And this King sculpture is the stone that emerges from the granite mountain behind him. All around this memorial, the walls display some of his well-known quotes, which resonate now with a certain urgency and relevance. I've asked 8 people to read 8 quotes. So I'm going to go around with the microphone. I think Bill is the first one. Yeah.
We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
Who's got number 2? Right behind you, Joe.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that.
I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant.
Make a career of humanity. Commit yourself to the noble struggle for equal rights. You will make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in.
Who has 5?
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly.
Who's got 6? I gave somebody 6. Oh, Betty.
I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden for me.
7.
We must come to see that the end we seek is a society at peace with itself, the society that can live with its conscience.
I have the audacity to believe that peoples everywhere can have 3 meals a day for their bodies, education and culture for their minds, and dignity, equality, and freedom for their spirits.
Amen. Thank you. In his day, King observed that our minds are constantly being invaded by legions of half-truths, prejudices, and false facts. Boy, if he could see us now. With AI-generated content flooding the internet, even the toughest mind struggles to discern what is real from what is fabricated, what is trustworthy from what merely confirms what we already know and fear and hope. History shows us again and again how easily truth can be distorted with lies, especially when those lies are repeated over and over again until cruelty is normalized and injustice feels inevitable. The conditions that King warned us about have not disappeared. I think they have intensified. I want to say a little thing right here before I go on. You know, King talked about soft-mindedness, and I wouldn't use that term, but I think what he's really talking about is a vulnerability, not a lack of intelligence. You know, when I say tough mind, I don't mean, you know, some sort of cognitive ability. I'm talking about there is a vulnerability that all of us are susceptible to. And that vulnerability has to do with overload of information, overwhelm, lost in the trust of our institutions like journalism, the Fourth Estate, and a hunger for certainty in uncertain times. Propaganda works best not on fools per se, but on people who feel unheard. And so I hope that we can extend compassion and empathy to those whom some of us would call stupid or naive, you know, all of those things. So, in a sermon entitled A Tough Mind and a Tender Heart, King quotes Mein Kampf in his sermon. And the reason he did that was to illustrate how strong propaganda is and how it works, and also to warn us about our vulnerability to repeated falsehoods. Here's the quote from that book, in case you've never read it. By means of shrewd lies, unremittingly repeated, it is possible to make people believe that heaven is hell and hell heaven. The greater the lie, the more readily will it be believed. Whenever power depends on confusion rather than clarity, whenever lies are repeated until they feel ordinary, that's when we see moral danger at play. And that is why all of us must cultivate a tough mind. Not a cynical mind, but a disciplined one. A mind willing to ask hard questions. A mind willing to verify rather than assume, to resist being carried along by outrage or reassurance. Our faith also, at the same time, demands a tender heart. King said that tough-mindedness without tenderheartedness becomes cold and detached, leaving life in a perpetual winter, devoid of warmth, compassion, and connection. The hard-hearted person never truly loves anyone. They value other people only in their usefulness to them. They don't experience the warmth of humanity and are incapable of empathizing with another person's joy or sorrow. They are unmoved by the pain and the suffering of others. And so we, as Unitarian Universalists, are called to take this middle path that King describes, the third way between the extremes of the unexamined mind and unexamined thinking and hard-heartedness toward a tough mind and a tender heart. That's the middle path. In times of struggle, let us remember Dr. King's words of encouragement when he said, "Let us be thankful for the human capacity to create a synthesis of love and justice that will lead us through life's dark valleys and into sunlit pathways of fulfillment and hope." May this be ever true. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please rise for the benediction. And now, with these words from Paul Robeson, go out into the world with faith that sorrow will one day turn to joy. All that breaks the heart and oppresses the soul will one day give place to peace, and everyone will be free. Go in love, my friends. Go in peace.